Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. I am Alice Tang, the host of Women's Million Dollar Conversation, where we talk with guests who have saved, earned, or sold $1 million. Today, I am sitting in front of a good friend and an entrepreneur and a mastermind of inner works, Ivana Polonijo. Ivana, would you just tell us about you, your business, before we begin dive deep into the questions about money?
Thank you, Alice. It's so wonderful to be here with you and share this moment, the sacred space that you've created for women to have safe conversations about really important topics. And I so appreciate the chance to lift a cup in gratitude here and talk some more. So, one of the things you've taught me, Alice, is to really show up in authenticity. We've known each other for quite a long time, and you've seen me in other renditions. We met in the context for me of the retirement services industry, so financial services industry, and you've encouraged me to keep being who I really am. And it turns out that who I really am is being expressed through this company, this organization that I founded called Courageous Being. It's a conscious leadership center where we're dedicated to empowering women and men, women plus, we say, to be very inclusive, to embrace our magnificence and to not only maybe embrace it, to really embody our magnificence. And through that, humanize the world of business and relationships. Because I noticed when we were first getting to know each other, and I was not doing Courageous Being, that when people are humans in business, and that includes all of our bodies, mental body, emotional body, spiritual experiences also being allowed to be expressed in our world of business does better. Business works better when people aren't robots. Especially important to remember that in this time of AI. So I founded this platform where we can have a place to challenge the status quo and help women and men find their authentic voices in spaces where they're often overlooked.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to come here so that we can have a moment of authenticity and talking about
Yeah.
courage to be ourselves and being good leaders. Again, for Women Plus copying you. Since this was a conversation about money, I would like to ask the first question. What's your value of money?
So I see money as an expression of energy. Money is energy, and well, everything is energy. I see money as a living being that likes to have experiences. It likes to move. It likes to be utilized. Sometimes it may be ready to sit and rest and grow. And sometimes it needs to just say, let me get out there. Let me create something new. Let me move a little and be spread out and then maybe I'll gather again. So for me, the value of money really is when I treat it that way, then it's like life itself. It is about some really important experiences. And when I think about what it can create, it really is about deep experiences of security, of joy, time. And for me, that's been especially important as an immigrant who, came to this country very determined to create a life of financial freedom. And in that respect, I can say that money is a tool, but when used wisely, it will help fuel my own experience of life, personal growth. Practically speaking, definitely supports my family. It helps me then share opportunities with others who may face similar challenges and really express who I really am. So that's a big question, Alice. Value of money.
I know, and we can
Yeah.
change our answer over time. Most people
Yes.
don't change much, but first, I think being financially free or independent of the needing to work or needing to earn money to make our living is one of the important things. And as you have been in the retirement industry for the longest time, now that we have money, what are you going to do with your life? Money, does it mean happiness? We can talk in another conversation, but it's good to question, right? What does money do
Yes.
for us? What's your first memory of money?
I'll highlight the most poignant memory of money that I see today as a very defining memory. So it's not the earliest because I was at a point in time when this is taking place. I am a young teenager. So I think I'm maybe 13 years old, 14 years old, but this is what was going on. I was witnessing my grandparents in Croatia lose all of their retirement savings during the Civil War in Croatia. This was unexpected. They did everything right. Those folks were World War II survivors, and they rebuilt their life and their economic security and happiness from scratch after World War II. They were, I guess, in their 20s during the war, and there they were at the end of their years on the planet, retirement savings completely gone overnight. And so this
Mm,
experience, really watching them, witnessing that, and being helpless, all of us were helpless over what was happening, grounded me in the realities of financial insecurity and what it means to
mm,
just not have it.
mm.
And it taught me really early on about those values of money that we were chatting about, the power that money holds in tangible and intangible ways.
Absolutely, because I think whether we believe that money touches all the time, it does directly and indirectly. We just cannot live without it completely.
Yes.
So agree with you. Now, we were talking about saving, earning, or selling $1 million. I know we kind of get to the part of accumulation or saving. So how long does it take for you to get to your first million?
Yeah. So I have not yet made $1 million in revenue, and Alice, I would love to be invited back when that category is something that I experience. And thank you for embodying for me examples through this podcast that you do of like, this is possible. A very big thing for me with money is money and beliefs and money and emotions are so tied together.
That's
So
right.
busting this belief that it's not possible, to have $1 million. I'm a living example of someone who in my, family of origin, I'm playing with some of these numbers, and this used to be, my grandmother's dream. So when you ask me about how much time years wise, I would associate number 15 with my experience of managing to save in a variety of ways $1 million through very disciplined planning, disciplined hard work. But that also included, Alice, busting some of these beliefs about what's possible, what's not possible, what counts, what all can be gathered under this umbrella of wealth and what wealth means. And this has allowed me to invest in the business. And so I have this experience now of what is it like to be passing it through and still owning it and moving it. And but 15 years is the specific answer to your questions, while recognizing that I definitely stand on all the shoulders of all of my ancestors and their ancestors, without whom, this wouldn't have been possible.
Of course, we owe it to them,
Yes.
generations and generations. Um, on your way to accumulate to this million in the short 15 years, what is one of the biggest challenge or hurdle or bias that you have experienced, if there is any?
I do have some responses here, and I'd say that this experience of being a female immigrant
Uh,
and then raising my hand to be um, a participant in a male dominated industry, so financial services, retirement services, I did encounter biases around gender, around culture, and I also had some experiences in terms of biases regarding the immigrant background, but also my unconventional career path.
mm,
I'll give you a very simple example of something that I hear regularly about myself as a comment, and it's oftentimes like really well meaning.
mm,
But I hear this comment from my financial services colleagues. She is woo woo. So they'll say that about me, touchy feely. And it's something that I've learned to navigate and be very compassionate about and understanding about and curious about. So these are just some like really like gentle examples. And it has to do with the fact that in my background, I'm an anthropologist. I'm also very open about the fact that I invest a lot of time and resources in my inner work. That includes yoga, it includes meditation, it includes spirituality and talking about that more and more freely. And so then in the context of a professional environment, I get some of these, labels. And sometimes some unconscious biases are hiding there. So knowing how to turn this into an opportunity to highlight my unique perspective, really see how the biases are serving me. How can I prove my capabilities? It's always an invitation to be better and do better and be more loving and more compassionate ourselves. Because rather than letting this discourage me, I use these biases as reminders of my purpose and my resilience. And then hopefully maybe role modeling that for others.
That's such a great way to say that the people who challenges us, in this case, at least we see that they're challenging us. It's really a reflection of a shadow of us in us. If
Mhm.
we go deep and be gentle to that part of ourselves, and we're growing from there. Because lesson not learned, lesson will repeat.
Yes.
This is great segue to the next question. Um, when you're making a big decision, how do you do that? Do you use your intuition? Do you collect a lot of information, or a combination of both, or anyway? For me, I pray first. So that's me.
Yeah. I use a very specific process that I also teach. And it's a blend of a few different modalities that I've trained in, and it works every time. And in short, it's a blend of working with the nervous system. So knowing how to basically make sure that I am inside the body with a really calm nervous system before making that decision, available to listen to what's coming up from intuition. So it involves some self reflection, self conversation. But the body piece, the breath piece, I can't emphasize enough. Basically, if I'm not in the body, I'm not going to be able to hear from my inner self what's going to be really in my highest good and in everybody else's highest good here as I'm facing this decision. This includes perhaps then recognizing that I have to go to trusted mentors, trusted women in the industry, or folks who could be helpful in whatever realm I'm working with to make my big decision. But I start with this internal GPS, so pay attention to the internal GPS. This is something that we're inherently born with. So I do know that we all have the capacity to do this, and we get trained out of knowing how to use this system.
Mhm.
So it is relearnable. And the more you do it, the more you practice being in high stakes situations, able to rely on this blend of your own intuition and sort of like a higher intelligence intuition while knowing when to ask for additional support from your environment. It gets easier and easier. And then the impact on your choices is phenomenal. Then you watch what happens and you start reaping the fruits of those decisions. Basically, things go better. That's been my
I see.
experience.
I see. So go be quiet, be in still, and then trust that you have some of the answers in you. And in doubt, you want to check, you go to the trusted people or resources around you just to verify, confirm, and perhaps discuss, and then move forward with that great intuition to make a
Yeah.
decision. Thank you, Ivana, for sharing this. There is a lot of women who's looking up at you, so successful, getting to your $1 million in that short 15 years. What's your best advice for them?
I think I'd like to suggest to everyone to really start owning our story, owning the experiences that we've had from super early on, simultaneously detaching from the narrative. So, owning my story and really knowing that in some ways, everything kind of prepped me for being able to be expressing who I really am in this way that is so purposeful and so fulfilling. It has to do with claiming everything that's happened to me. So, as an immigrant, there were a lot of experiences of transformation that we could talk about they weren't pretty, but they resulted in harnessing certain strengths in the face of adversity that I could underestimate the importance of it. Don't do that. So my suggestion is like claim all of your story, then start detaching from the narrative and really practice in whatever way you can being as present as possible with like right here, right now. And if I'm remembering something from the past, how is this serving me right here, right now? How is this relevant right here, right now? And the more we move through life in this like moment by moment way, the easier it gets to plan and vision and have goals and then be excited about what comes while again detaching from the outcome. There's so much freedom in this detachment.
Is there one book that you're reading or the book that you would recommend to our audience?
I am right now reading a book called The Source, and it's written by a neuroscientist called Dr. Tara Swart. And she is on a path of really explaining the nuances, the granular details of what we're talking about here. All of you working together in order to create and manifest the world that you wish to live in. She explains in beautiful, plain English terms uh, that everything is energy, like I mentioned before, and what that means to us in everyday terms, and that we really are the main source of our own happiness and contentment. It's just such an empowering read. I highly recommend it.
Oh, great. Thank you for recommending that book. Later on, we'll put that in our notes in this show to be sure the audience knows about it. Okay, so last but one question. What's your money legacy?
I feel that what I'm doing, of course, an evolving experience, definitely a journey that's not going to be over until I guess I'm, game out. Or that when I use up this vessel, right? It is about independence and purpose
Mm.
and supporting my community with being here, being as transparent as I can, bravely about what I've learned, what seems to work, what doesn't seem to work. One thing that I would have done differently on my path earlier would have been to lean into some of these principles that we've been talking about, which are really conscious leadership principles, and to do this practice of inner work as a part and parcel of my professional growth. So I'd say my money legacy is experiencing myself as a holistic being in all of my expressions, and your personal growth really is professionally good for you also. So I'm hoping that with my conversations around money and the way in which I am both investing and spending, I am creating an environment where we can really all be navigating financial obstacles with greater ease and confidence.
So grateful for what you just said. We need more Ivana in our community. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for anyone, everyone, starting with you, Alice, who is willing to have a new conversation
Oh,
about this inner world meets outer world, the psychological safety that folks like you are bringing to an environment where the disposition was generally not very friendly. Talking about emotions and money is a new
very good.
conversation. So
We are
very
very
grateful for courageous beings who are, you know, creating that
check
conversation. And
Courageous Being
Mhm.
out.
Yeah,
We're so grateful for Ivana, founder of Courageous Being, and we look forward to sharing this wonderful conversation with our audience. Thank you, Ivana.
thank you, Alice.